Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here on my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 episode review. This is going to be the episode review for episode 13, 113, and the episode titled I'm Monsters. Anyway, on to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 episode review for I'm Monster episode 13. Obviously the show is back now after a pretty long, I suppose, break. It's been since before Christmas. Well over a month since a new episode, so it was nice to kind of get back to the show, and I think it was a pretty good episode. Not one of the best of the series, because I think I have a few problems with it, but overall it was a pretty good return episode for the episode to return on, and I suppose that as a kind of like middle of the season episode 13 out of 26, it was pretty good too. The episode mainly focuses on Dr. Victor Falco, who then becomes the Rat King, and then Splinter. So I'll start off with, I suppose, Falco, and going into the Rat King. I like the continuity that they brought him back, so early, I suppose. That was nice. And then the fact that we knew that the Rat King was coming, but no one had any idea that he would be Falco kind of mutated. So that was a very interesting concept for the show to do, and it completely surprised me. The whole thing of he was shunned by the scientists, which is why he's kind of become even more evil than he was in that episode. Obviously, because people heard about what he did after going missing at the end of that episode, Monkey Brains. He obviously recreates that mutagen stuff, but as he's just about to kind of use it, obviously the rats shoot through the thing, basically because they were the last things to touch the mutagen, he gets kind of rat mutated, and he's basically a psychic. He has the same psychic powers, but it only applies to rats in this case. So that was an interesting way to give the origin story for the Rat King. It was interesting. I like the look of the character, like crazy, horrific kind of the face, the teeth all over the place. The eyes especially just horrific. I'd say a lot of kids watching this were scared witless out of this guy. There's a few of those shots when he takes off the kind of bandages off his eyes, and you're just like, damn eyes, and you're just like, oh, what on earth is this about? I suppose a slight problem would be the thing that I got to touch on it with when I get to Splinter, but like with all villains in this show that get mutated, there's no stop. The show never stops to kind of focus on the villain's loss of humanity. Because the villain is evil, he doesn't care that he's gained these new powers and has basically lost his humanity. While, on the Splinter side of the story, the episode very much focuses on him kind of coming to terms with the loss of humanity and stuff like that. Mato Yoshi kind of referenced a lot on his side of the story, so it's one of those things where the show kind of really needs to kind of focus more on the villains as characters as opposed to villains, just being villains. Anyway, but more on the Rat King. I like the fact that, once you get past the fact that, he's not going to stop to kind of get over the kind of thing that he's lost his humanity, that he basically considers himself a rat, kind of like the Rat King, Lord of the Rats sort of thing, and then his whole ideals are basically that he considers the humans an infestation, kind of as humans would consider rats an infestation. He says that they are the ones who spread the disease and stuff like that, and thinks that the rats should be the superior beings. That was interesting and kind of worked for the episode. Him as a concept was very good in the episode, and then transitioning into more Splinter talk. He then he obviously never saw Splinter in his first introduction episode, so he kind of senses it obviously through his psychic powers that there is this kind of former human mutated rat, Splinter, and that he also has kind of these things about his humanity. Rat King mentions that, but he never focuses on it. I'm not a human anymore. It's weird, but he then plays on the fact that Splinter's past, basically he's lost his daughter and his wife because of Shredder, basically, and then as we kind of get into it more, the turtles beginning to kind of develop a lot more as martial artists. They may not need his teaching anymore and stuff like that, and that's how he gets into Splinter's head. Because otherwise, Splinter is like very kind of sound of mind. He's too strong to be like taken over by the Rat King, but because Splinter is kind of affected by like what they said at the start of the episode, we may not need Splinter anymore as a teacher, and he kind of gets into his head. So that was a very good part of the episode. The Rat King influencing Splinter psychically, that was really well done. And then obviously he gets turned. I'll go into Splinter himself now, kind of transitioning away from Falco. Rat King. Um, the turtles obviously at the start of the episode do their training with Splinter, and how obviously none of them have ever actually kind of hit him properly because he's so good. But in this case, we see that Leo gets a punch in on Splinter, and he's so shocked and like, oh my god, I've ever hurt Splinter the first time I've ever punched him, and he kind of like stops and Splinter kind of scolds Leo for stopping. But obviously he goes in to meditate there that like his sons are getting better now, especially Leonardo. And then he overhears that they say that we're getting better, we may not need him anymore. They're absolutely in awe of the fact that one of them has actually hit Splinter for the first time ever, and he begins to doubt that he's needed as a teacher. Um, and then like the whole episode really revolves around the fact that they're going to have to get Splinter out of the kind of control of the Rat King, because they may at some stage not need him as a teacher anymore, but they all consider him their father. He considers them their sons, and so there's always that kind of familial bond between the five of them, that kind of Splinter almost forgets about in aspects of this episode, and at the end that's kind of what breaks him out of it, and that Leo reminds him that you were once a human, you're not fully a rat, and that they need him because they're family and stuff like that. That was the main theme of the episode, and what I really liked about the episode. I suppose in terms of a more negative side of the episode, I thought the complete focus of this episode was on Splinter and the Rat King. Now, the turtles were very necessary to the plot, but I felt they were given too much focus there, because we've had, in other shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you can have episodes without Aang that focus on the other characters, and this episode could have kind of done that, where they really didn't need to have the turtles in it that much. Obviously, they needed them at the start and they needed them at the end. So I thought they could have really focused a lot more on the Falco Splinter stuff for most of the episode, and maybe got rid of the whole like 3 or 4 minutes to save April bit and some of that stuff. But because I liked the Splinter Falco stuff so much in this episode, and that was the main aspect of this episode, because once I finish with Splinter and Falco, there's not really much to say about the kind of turtles part of this episode beyond bits that link into Splinter and stuff like that. Like when they were on their own, there wasn't much to say about them. But continuing on Splinter, obviously we see that we've got to see Splinter fight really for one of the first times ever. He basically uses one katana sword as opposed to Leo, who uses multiple two. And like we saw that when April obviously is the first person to see him under control, and we see how much she's kind of grown in that she can dodge his attacks from this like master swordsman, and that was interesting to see a subtle development for April there. And then when the turtles are fighting Splinter, you also see stuff like they're kind of getting closer to his ability in that it wasn't just like one attack that kind of did most of them out of it. Like they like Leonardo, especially Donatello and Leonardo, kind of put up a good fight against him before he kind of got the better of them, which was very good. And I like the way they're kind of showing that development of the turtles and that they're getting better every episode, and I like that. And yeah, the conclusion to the episode, obviously, the Rat King is demanding Splinter kill Leonardo, and then Leonardo, having seen the kind of dropped photo of Hamatagoshi and his family earlier on the episode, uses that to kind of, I suppose, make Splinter pause and remember kind of through the control stuff, and then the rest of them come in and tackle him, and then the whole we're family bit comes in, and I really like that as a kind of I suppose, what we learned today kind of a part of the episode. So yeah, my favorite part of this episode was the Falco Splinter stuff. The turtles maybe had a bit too much to do in the rest of the episode and maybe took away from some of that, as I was mentioning. The origin was done really quickly at the start of the episode. I felt if they maybe took away that whole saving April bit and some of the other bits with the turtles where they kind of had too much focus, they could have given, I suppose, the origin of the Rat King and the kind of start of that a bit more time. Because it's been one of my kind of negatives about the whole series is that the way they're doing the villains is really quickly. They they're introduced maybe as humans first, and then never go anywhere past that. When they get mutated, they're just villains, but they're mutated. They never focus on like a transition between humanity and this new powers. They haven't done that yet. In terms of the rest of the episode, though, Leo obviously we see a clear kind of uh, increase in his kind of martial arts skills. He's the one who gets the punch in on Splinter. He's the one who lasts longer against the controlled Splinter. And stuff, more leadership stuff as well. We see that he's coming up with better plans. He got the hit in because of what the whole team did and stuff like that. The team acted on his orders at the end, and that's how they kind of stopped Splinter at the end. That was good for Leo. Mikey, we had some crazy nickname stuff again, and that's a nice continuity, even though it is a humorous part of the episode, and that they do focus on the fact that Mikey likes to nickname stuff, and a villain who calls himself the name Rat King, and Mikey's just like coming up with all these crazy names. Lord Rattington probably was my favourite one. And then at the end of the episode, he realizes, yeah, Rat King is the best name. I would have probably come up with that if he hadn't come up with it first. And just like, I'm naming the next one though. It was funny, and that's continuity for Mikey. Obviously, there's a little Donnie April kind of relationship stuff as well, but never really focused upon. One of the funniest part of the episodes, I think, was the joke with Donatello's bow staff that becomes a naginata, and that like, don't press down, and Mikey presses down, the blade nearly goes straight through Splinter's head. There's a kind of fun reference, I suppose. The fans have been very much wondering, why do all Donatello's bios say that he uses one of these naginatas when we never see him with the sword bit out? And there was a reference right there showing it straight to us. That was good. Final thing would just be the rat massacre. Obviously, the turtles are kind of trapped in the sewers by the rats, and they need to get out. So they decide to basically blow up all the rats there, and that was a bit like, really? Like, it was just this kind of moment where I was just like, hey turtles, do you not realize that these are rats? Your master kind of father figure is also a kind of like half rat, and you're just gonna no thought whatsoever really just blow up all these rats with barrels of oil and electricity. It was just like, wow, that was pretty crazy. And that's another thing I think the episode did well, in that it did really get some like really horrific imagery out there, and some really, I suppose, mature kind of stuff like that there. Killing rats, the look of the Rat King. They did focus a bit on Splinter's humanity, but I think they could have done some Victor Falco humanity. So overall, yeah, it was a good episode. I have a few problems with it though, but it's glad to have Turtles back on TV, so obviously that's good. And hopefully, there's no more breaks in the airing of Turtles, and they go straight up to episode 26. Then when episode 26 airs, we'll be straight into Core like the week after that or something like that. That would be like perfect. Turtles ends, Core starts up. That's perfect, and it would work really well for Nick as well. Next episode is called The New Girl in Town, I think, and it's the introduction of this show's version of Karai into the series, I believe. And it looks to be an interesting episode. I saw the images of her, kind of preview images. I really do not like the design of the new Karai, but I'll talk about that more next week. Thank you for watching this video, and bye.